Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Dixieland Farm, and today I'm going to be talking about VATSIM and VATSTAR, the two things I've been involved with over the past few months, which is why you haven't seen me as often. VATSIM is an online flight simulator network where you connect to it and then people can see you fly and I can see them fly, and it'll, using the proper software, it'll match what their planes are and what my plane is, so we can see all the different types of planes. And not only that, we can connect to voice, so we can talk back and forth to each other. And not only that, there are online controllers who will control traffic, ground, all of those kind of things that also can connect. So if I fly out of Charlotte and it is staffed, I'm talking to a ground controller or a tower controller or an approach or departure controller. I'm talking to a human who's coordinating all the traffic in and out of that airport. And how cool is that, right? So that's what I've been involved with. So you'll see planes take off, you'll see planes land. The interesting thing about VATSIM is that a lot of the people that use the service, which is totally free, love flying big commercial tube liners, the big airplanes, and not the small airplanes that I'm interested in, the general aviation planes. It's not that we don't exist, the small planes, but it's interesting that most people, when they do flight simulators, they like to do the large airplanes, which is very procedural and figuring out stuff, at least to me. So you will see a lot more commercial airlines in the VATSIM world opposed to the little planes, but they are more than happy to work with you as well. But it's also why you will fly out of larger airports that normally would never have that much general aviation aircraft, because those are the areas that are on. So it's kind of funny. It's also kind of funny is it's been so popular during the pandemic here that there are more flights going on in VATSIM than actually in the real world. A couple of weekends ago, there were 2,000 planes flying in VATSIM, and there weren't that many in the real world actually flying, which is interesting. But yeah, again, it's a totally free service, and of course everyone's trying to make it more realistic. So the people that are controlling you are not just connecting. They actually go through a whole certification process before they're able to actually do that. It's not just some guy giving it a whirl. They go through a training, and not only that, it actually follows that area. So if you belong to the Washington, D.C. ARTCC of that area, you know, you learn those airports, and same thing for Atlanta control, Jacksonville control, and they stick to those areas, and they're all they're little organizations just that are connected. So yeah, I did a quick flight just so you can see just me doing a small pattern around Winnipeg, because I saw that controller was on, and he belongs to another group that I belong to called VATSTAR. So I saw that Ryan was up and controlling, and I figured I would just do a quick flight in the rain, it turns out. And you'll actually see a big airplane trying to come in and miss the landing, and me do just a quick pattern. So here, take a look real quick.
Cessna 5522 Lima.
Cessna 5522 Lima, Winnipeg Tower, go ahead.
Good afternoon. We are located at Red River Aviation at the moment, and we'd like to do a quick trip around the pattern. I'd like to practice our crosswind there. We have information, Victor.
522 Lima, VFR circuits are approved. Squawk 1201.
Squawking 1201.
And 5522 Lima, would you like an intersection departure for 31? We've got 2,400 feet from Kilo. 2,400 feet from Kilo should be good for you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
22 Lima, taxi runway 13 Golf intersection, altimeter 2957. Taxi via apron and golf at your discretion. Hold short, runway 31.
Taxiing and holding short, runway 31, 22 Lima.
22 Lima, would you be ready for an immediate departure?
We are ready.
22 Lima, left-hand circuits not above 2,000. Clear takeoff, runway 31.
Clear takeoff, runway 31, 22 Lima.
have to go around. We lost the flight.
Air Canada 259, are you going to try again on a visual, or are you going back to the ILS?
We'd like to go back to the ILS, if that's alright.
Air Canada 259, there is no approach control on at the moment. Monitor 122.8 and contact me when re-entering my zone. WestJet 212, Winnipeg Tower, good morning. You are cleared to Calgary via the Vulgate 1 departure, flight plan route. Depart runway 31, squawk 4717.
We're cleared to Calgary via the Vulgate 1 departure, flight plan route, departure 31, squawk 4717 for WestJet 212.
WestJet 212, read back is correct. Push and start at your discretion. Advise ready for taxi.
Alright, we'll go WestJet 212.
And this is Cessna 5522 Lima, midfield, downwind.
22 Lima, are you looking for full stop or touch and go?
We're going to do full stop this time.
And 22 Lima, you are number 1, continue approach. 22 Lima, winds unchanged, clear to land runway 31.
Clear to land, runway 31, 22 Lima.
Skyhawk, Golf November Oscar Charlie, VG 5x5. 22 Lima, are you going back to Red River?
We are, sir.
Okay, continue on 31, exit left on Golf, please.
So like I was saying before, I also belong to something called VATSTAR. So VATSIM is it's oddly organized, and it's not decentralized, but there's a lot of layers to it to make this all happen. And part of the reason is that it is all volunteer and no charge. So having it all kind of just work on its own required a lot of work. The service has been around for about 20 years, but you'll get online and ready to take off, and somebody was controlling that airport, and then all of a sudden they've got to go to work and they'll disappear. So what do you do? Well, there are procedures, and you learn pretty quickly how you would control yourself and communicate with other people in the area. And sometimes there are people on, sometimes there's nobody on, and sometimes they're new to this, so they're not acting as well as a more seasoned person would. So it's different. There are little quirks and things like that. And there's actually a paid service out there that's a little more consistent called Pilot Edge, but they only control a small area in Southern California. And I like to fly on the East Coast since I am an East Coast person, so that's my preference. And the paid service is, like I said, a little more professional, in the sense that I think they actually use some actual air traffic controllers, and any infraction is dealt with quickly. So probably what would happen in real life. It's a little looser on VATSIM on both sides. Some pilots aren't so great, and some controllers are still learning, and again, because we're all learning, right? So you make mistakes. It's a little looser on VATSIM than would be on Pilot Edge, which tend to be used by actual real-world pilots who are trying to stay proficient or are learning, getting a private pilot's license. Anyway, the VATSTAR system is an online school that I belong to. It's affiliated with VATSIM. They've got to have a whole curriculum and certification process and things like that. And there are several of these. I think there are like 20 different of those online schools that are all part of VATSIM all around the world. So, mine is based out of the US, but there are ones based out of Europe or Australia, etc. And there's a curriculum. So I've been taking an online ground school, and there are different levels. And at those different levels, I've been tested. I've had, they're not exactly oral exams, but they kind of are. They're just not graded for each level that I've been taking. And then I've had to take a written timed test and pass that. And then I've had to take checkrides. So I'm studying my P4 right now, and that's going to change. The rating system is changing on VATSIM. Since more people fly the bigger airplanes, they're trying to get more to the levels for commercial flight. Well, right now it's more geared to what I do, the general aviation. So I've taken the P1, which just kind of proves that you know how to use the VATSIM network and what you would do, and that's going to be mandatory now. It wasn't before. And P2 is just kind of a general. Can you fly? Do you know how to control yourself? Do you know how to read a map or roughly get into a pattern? Those kind of things. And there's the P3, which is VFR, basically equivalent to what you would get for your private pilot's license. There were 2 check rides. I passed those, and now I'm working on my P4, which is instrument flights. So I have to do a whole flight just via instruments and plan it out, do the route, land by instruments, all those kind of things. So that's what I'm working on right now. And it's been great. So you have mentors, you have instructors. The instructors, several of them are actual certified private pilot license. They're actual flight instructors in real life. This is what they actually do, and then they also do it in the simulator world. So you are learning real world procedures. You are flying like you would in the real world. And then, of course, there's a group of us who are all students, and we help each other, or we talk about the simulators, or maybe the scenery packs, or little tweaks, or the planes we like. So it's got a little community that way as well. And we meet on Discord, which is normally meant for gamers. And of course, this is a game. While it's a realistic simulation, it's still just you're just dudes in front of a computer screen. So that's been a lot of fun. So that's also something I've been involved in VATSTAR. And a great bunch of guys, and that also is free. They take donations, and I've given some money to them because of their time and how much they've helped me, and it's definitely helped me fly a lot better virtually. So that's it. That's what I've been involved with, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And if you have any questions, just drop it in the comments below. And big salon farm. Take care, everybody.